Big news, obviously, Urban Meyer out of Jacksonville at 12:30 a.m. on Thursday. He was fired. A lot of controversies around him. Now, y'all never had to deal with this because you had a really good coach. So, head coach turnover in season didn't really happen to you guys. But how do we make this simple? They're up against Houston this week. Do you think this affects the line? Are they better off without him? Kiwi, you start.
I think they're definitely better off without him. I think there's a lot of things that were mentioned. He did not fly home with the team and got caught up in that issue. Now we hear about him potentially or allegedly kicking a player, on the field, and a lot of other things, calling his coaching staff losers and going through their resumes and whatnot. My issue with it is I don't want to just sit and call for somebody's job. That's not my thing. He's a grown man. He's already been fired. He is out of the league, and I wish him the best, and I hope that he gets the help that he needs. My issue is how many other college coaches are there in the NCAA who would treat players like this? Because we only got light of it when it came to the NFL. When you're talking about grown men here. These are not kids. How many kids did he treat poorly and abuse while he was coming up and winning these championships? And we just have never heard of it, because they did not have a voice. They did not have a way to get their voices heard.
Jerome Baker with the Miami Dolphins came out and said he's not surprised. Played for him at Ohio State, right? So, I think that's really the big issue. I think there's a little bit of a real change in the guard and how organizations are going to have to really do a little bit more vetting. We're talking about Urban Meyer is a legacy coach, meaning and once you find a winner, people have an emotional stake in bringing that to their team or franchise and organizations, and they're really going to have to look under the hood a little bit more to avoid some of these disasters.
All right, Kiwi, I want to cut in real quick because after this Meyer mess, what advice would you give an NCAA coach ready to make that move to the NFL to become a head coach of grown men? What advice would you give them?
Check your ego at the door. Practice what you preach. I've said for a long time, some of the biggest egos in football are standing on the sidelines with headsets. The only place to be a bully is in the trenches. If you want to be a bully, you want to talk tough, put a jersey on, right? That's what it would say. If you want to lead men, you have to hold yourself accountable, and you have to find a way to gain their trust and their respect. You work hard. You go out. You can work hard and play hard, but you need to work hard. You need to gain the respect of these men. These men, these are not children. They're not kids. They're not, people that you can just put under your thumb and dictate and say, hey, do what I say, do because I say it. No, you have to find a way to communicate to them, with them, in a real way and lead them as a man.
Yeah, you said it. And when you talk about ego, the biggest thing is listening. This is a generation that has a lot more information than even when I came into the league in 2003. There's a lot more information. They understand value and worth a lot more in relation. Doesn't mean they're altogether smarter. That doesn't mean that the maturity gap isn't there. They need guidance, but the reality is you're going to have to approach these men with some real consideration, be a listener, and allow them to be a part of the process as professionals and as men.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I couldn't agree more with you guys, and some great insight there. But there's another couple head coaches that we need to get in here now. So the Vikings are taking on the Chicago Bears right now. I almost want to say the Bulls. The Bears right now. So we've got Mike Zimmer versus Nagy. Now, Nagy, obviously one of the most hated men, I think, in Chicago. He's even getting booed and being told to fire at his son's football games.
That was Nagy, but that was across the line, too.
I agree. So these are two divisional foes. Both coaches are in the hot seat, with many wondering, will either organization bring their current head coaches back this season? Let's start with Nagy. So obviously he's been in the hot seat all season. The quarterback controversy, who's going to start? Also, their record is really terrible. Yeah. The Bears were 12-4 when he came on in 2018. They were 8-8 last year, and now they're below 500. They're actually .308, and they're currently 4-8 on the season. Do you think that he can survive this season, and should he?
It's very difficult from my perspective, because one of the biggest tasks outside of leading a group of men is developing a quarterback. And when you have that indecision, in terms of, should he start, should he not, should he start, it doesn't provide the kind of confidence that the team needs in your decision-making abilities. And once you start to lose that locker room, doesn't mean that he's a bad coach, doesn't mean that he's not right to coach in the NFL, but this just might not be the right situation for him. And there's a lot of times when you can say that, there are coaches who get second opportunities at coaching for a reason. Sometimes it's just not the right fit.
Yeah, he's been there for 4 years and they've declined. So
they've declined. And, obviously he inherited He inherited the quarterback with Mitch Trubisky. Had a nice little start to the season. We all thought he was a guru, but it's kind of both parties, and I believe it's Ryan Pace. You got to look at both of them, right? You go from Mitch Trubisky, then you say that this year you're starting the season. Of course you draft Justin Fields, but you declare Andy Dalton your starter.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot going on, even for the head coach to actually navigate and deal with through. So, I think he's earned his way out at this point, but, I'm rooting for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's another coach in this, Matt Zimmer, with the Vikings. So the Vikings, throughout his tenure, they've made some noise. They've gotten to the playoffs, but they haven't really gotten over the hump. They are now sitting 6-7 with Zimmer as the head coach over the last 7 seasons. So here the Vikings and Zimmer hit the end of the road in their partnership, or do they get a few more wins out of him? How do you feel about it?
That was the one that I was thinking of when I said it just might not be the right fit. I mean, he is the third winningest coach, I think, in Vikings history.
Okay.
If you look at his numbers, so he has done well for the organization.
Yes.
It's just not happening, and this is a win now league. And so I think sometimes you just have to, at this point in the season, you have to, I've been cut. Everybody eventually gets cut. You have to take the emotions aside from it and look and say, hey, look, we have an expectation of excellence. We want to win the game. You're not giving us the best opportunity. No harm, no foul. Thank you. Let's move on and let's find another coach.
Yeah, I'm a little torn. I'll be honest with you, because Mike Zimmer is solid. I mean, like he's solid. He's well respected. He has that kind of experience. He holds the bravado of an experienced head coach. He doesn't make mistakes in the media, and his teams have been well outfitted, but they just haven't crossed the hump. The rosters are solid. You can't say anything about Spielman.
Well, Kirk Cousins on Monday
Cousins,
night.
right? Like, so that's that becomes
he's good
the
enough
big
to get
decision.
you fired. That was the comment. But I've already heard people talking. Keyshawn was talking about him for the Jacksonville job. So it tells you that people within the industry are saying, okay, like maybe it didn't work out here, but he still is a good enough head football coach.
Absolutely, and that's the only. You don't know what the real issue is in Minnesota at this point, because Kirk Cousins hasn't been a nightmare. He just hasn't maybe been the $30 million a year quarterback that everybody wanted him to be.
I agree.